G'day guys, Seeney here and welcome to another episode on the Australian Wealth channel, and in this episode we're talking about how Google just saved the stock market. So thank you guys for watching. Please make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps to get these videos out to more people. So if anyone's been following the stock market closely, you would have seen that January, this last month we had, was in fact one of the worst stock market months on record. In fact, we haven't had a month this bad since March 2020 when the pandemic was declared. So that kind of puts it a little bit in perspective about how bad this January was. And if you've been in small cap stocks like myself, this has been happening for months and months prior. And a lot of these stocks have just been beaten down to stupid levels, which makes me really happy because I'm continuing to buy up these stocks at ridiculous prices. But there is something that we need to talk about because there's no denying that the large caps have such strength in buoying the market. We saw at the start of earnings season that Netflix didn't report the best quarter and that stock absolutely tanked, and that just set off the rest of the stock market as well, just dropping dramatically. And when large caps sneeze a little bit and drop a little bit, it means that small caps and even mid caps get absolutely devastated. So we saw that Netflix had quite a bad quarter, so there was a lot hinging on some of these other companies such as Apple and Google and what they were going to report, because if they're doing well, chances are the rest of the economy is going to be doing well as well. So we saw the Apple earnings came out and they were pretty decent, to be honest. And what we saw is the entire stock market rose back a little bit because these large caps have so much power. And that's why I think it's really important, regardless of what you're invested in, to be keeping across a lot of the earnings of some of these bigger companies, because they are the ones that are going to give a real kind of insight into what the economy's doing. They're real bellwethers of the economy. So if they're going to be doing well, and if the economy's going to be doing well, then that's reflected in their earnings. So Google has just reported their earnings, and these are of course incredibly important for the reasons that I've just said. So after hours, Google stock, as of recording this, is up 6 to 7%. So I guess the market believes that these earnings have gone quite well. But I'm going to break down the details and see how good these earnings actually are and what we can expect from the stock market going forward. So make sure you like and subscribe if you like this kind of content. So the key numbers with Google. Earnings per share came out to $30.67 versus $27.34 expected. So they beat earnings per share by $3, which is pretty significant. On top of that, revenue was $75.33 billion. That's a lot of money to make in a quarter versus $72.17 billion. So they also beat revenue estimates by about $3 billion, which is not a small amount. So clearly Google is performing better than what analysts expected. So this can only mean good things for the market. On top of that, YouTube advertising revenue came in at $8.63 billion versus $8.87 billion expected. So this was slightly lower than what was expected from analysts. Google Cloud revenue, however, on the other hand, came in at $5.54 billion versus $5.47 billion expected. So their cloud division has performed better than expected. YouTube has performed a little bit weaker than expected, but both of these businesses are just doing phenomenal numbers. They're just huge. I mean, there's no real other way to put it. They're a massive company, Google, and they're an absolute profit beast.
Oh my God! Wow! Oh my God!
So to put in perspective just how well Google is doing, if we go back 1 year ago and we have a look at their advertising revenue, it was $46.2 billion. This time around, this year, it's $61.24 billion, which is a big jump. Google is still growing at a massive rate, even knowing they're already a massive company. When you're a huge company, it's often harder to grow at the same percentages that you used to grow at. But Google is just an absolute beast and continues to outperform. And this can only bode well for the rest of the market, because it means if businesses are spending on advertising, that means that they are confident about the future. If they're pulling back and they're reining in their spending on advertising, there's potential that they're not so confident about the future of the consumers going forward. But because people are spending so much money on advertising, it's pretty clear that businesses across the country, and not only the country, also the world, are optimistic about the future. So these earnings are, of course, very positive for the stock market. This is going to reflect across a number of different stocks. We'll have to see what happens with the market tomorrow when it opens. But companies like Affirm are going to benefit massively, because if businesses are advertising, it's going to mean more revenue, which means more people are going to be using buy now, pay later services. So that's just one example of many different things that relate to Google and these earnings. So I thought it was worth touching on in this channel. It's not a company that I've really looked at myself, but it is, of course, a very important company in terms of the stock market and gives us a real guide as to what's happening out there. There's a few companies like that. Another one, for example, is UPS, which has just announced their earnings, and their earnings came in great. They forecasted that things are going to be going very well going forward. So that is, of course, another great example of how it's a good guide of the economy. You know, if you're looking at companies like, say, Visa and MasterCard, UPS, all of these ones are the ones that take payments or they move things around. If they're anticipating things to be great going forward, then you can get a bit of a gauge on the economy. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'd be really keen to hear what you think about Google earnings, and if there's any companies that you believe are going to do really well as a result of Google having a rosy outlook going forward. So if you want to get yourself a free stock, I have a link to Stake in the description. You can pick yourself up a free stock there by depositing money in the brokerage. And if you want to track your net worth, I also have a link to WeMoney in the description as well. And they'll give you $5 for free just for signing up and connecting your accounts. So please make sure you like and subscribe. Really helps to get this video and this channel out to more people, because we are continuing to grow this channel. We've hit over 1,000 subs, which is great. But of course, we want to continue to build that even more so I can continue to provide everyone with quality content. So thanks so much for watching, guys. We'll see you later.